Hey, it's Wendy from Core10 Pilates. I've got some tools here because I want to show you how to maintain your Allegro 2 machines. I would recommend doing this quarterly, and I've taken care of these for about 7 years. I have 12 reformers, and there's some ins and outs that I've learned. So I'm going to take you through the ropes right now. You take this end cap and you turn it. So I'm turning it that way when I'm checking it. And I'm just making sure that it's tight, and it is. But if it was not tight, I'll loosen it for you. Let's say, this happens sometimes, this is not tight, where if you could even feel it with your fingers. So you want to come around and tighten it as tight as can be. You squeeze it and pull it off to the side, to the right. And then you do the same thing on the other side. And I'm just turning it that way. So it's always to the right when you're doing the knob wrench. So this is what we're checking. And I've actually loosened this one to show you what it looks like if it's loose. So you see, it should not move. If it's moving, you gotta cinch it in. And that means when I'm looking at the machine, I'm on the left side. So I go around my machines and I clamp it on, push down. But when I go to the other side, this is the left side, when I go to the right side, it's opposite. All right, so now when I come in here, now I'm facing the reformer. This one is gonna go up. And I start at the bottom and I just crank up. And I did loosen this one a tiny bit for you. Now, can't get it to move anymore. I just come in here and I find it and I crank down on the left. So I'm going down. I would just go right over to the next side and crank up on the right. Then you go to the next, you crank down on the left, up on the right. Let me show you what to look for under your headpiece, because there are a couple of things here. You don't want to wait for something to go wrong on your headpiece. So what I'm going to do is I've got this little guy here ready to go. You're going to have 3 of these when you get your machine, and this is how you do it. You pull your knob out, you lift it, and now I'm just going to sit down and look under here. So these are your 3 screws that you're looking at, and you need to check them every quarter. This one can come loose, so you just need to get this out. And if it is loose, and you can tell just by looking at it, you can also just tell, well, you'll tell because the headpiece doesn't seem to work right. But you want this to be able to slide. So this is already tight. If it's not, you would just put this in, tighten it until it is firm tight. This one though, see these 2 under here? Those, you want this washer to be able to move tiny bit, because if you don't, then this doesn't slide very easy. So it's going to be firm in there, but not so that it's, you know, if it's too tight, if you tighten these too much, you won't be able to move your locking mechanism back and forth. Hey, I don't usually hang out in the well, but I'm gonna do this and show you. Come on down. Okay, so what I'm looking for is just double checking that these are tight. And this one works for all of them. So, you know, you can also see that they're tight already. But look at these. These definitely can get loose. Mine are not loose because I check them every quarter. But it does happen when we have people reach back and they hold the posts or something. It just seems to happen sometimes. And this is basically all you do. You get down on your back under your machine, you put this in, and you make sure that they are all snug and tight. So you do have to lay down to do that. But there are a couple things you want to do when you lay down anyway. You want to check both sides. You want to check all of these. Check your headpiece and make sure all those things are working. And then don't forget to check your springs. I put on a spring that has a kink in it to show you what to look for. So let's look up. What you want to do is lay down, look at your springs from the bottom, and see. Now if I'm standing up, I would be able to see from my teaching vantage point, I'd be able to see a lot of the springs here, and I would see a kink pretty easily. But I wouldn't see the kink down here, right? So this is what you would do. Take it off. I have a new one, and you know, I always keep a backlog of these. Whenever I order new springs, and at our studio, we use these a lot. So I actually order new springs at least every 12 to 18 months. And I know Balanced Body says you only need them every 2 years or so. But just be aware of how much you actually use your reformers, and we use ours a lot. So whenever I have a change of springs, I go through and I find, like, of the machines maybe that are used the least, I would keep a couple of springs as a backup in case something goes wrong before the next time I order. which it really hasn't happened yet, but it's a good idea because you never know. Okay, so I'm gonna have, do you see how I did that? I just slipped this in here, and now I feed it over the top and place it on the post, which I can't do from the floor angle.